Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Ben Reynolds, your host for today's presentation, and I'm thrilled you're with us for this special edition of the Vent webinar series. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you planned a journey, not just for the place, but for the experience of wonder? The kind that grabs hold of your imagination, draws you into nature, culture, and history, and reminds you why we travel in the first place. Well, today is all about that. We're only a few months into the new year, and yet here at Vent, we're already looking well ahead with excitement and purpose. In 2025 and 2026, we'll again operate over 150 tours and cruises each year. But this session isn't about the big picture. It's about the extraordinary. In just a few moments, Vent CEO Barry Lyon will take you on a visual and narrative journey through 4 truly special upcoming programs. Each one is more than a tour. They're signature moments in Vent's future, and quite possibly yours. So get comfortable, have your calendar nearby, and let's dive into what's ahead. It's my pleasure to welcome Barry Lyon, Vent CEO, to present special events in 2025 and 2026.
Okay, thank you very much, Ben, and thank you all for joining us this afternoon. As Ben said, we Ben is always so pleased with our annual offerings, 150 tours, land-based tours and cruises to just a remarkable diversity of destinations worldwide. But several times a year, we do have some very special programs that we're always very proud of because I guess you can kind of say that we like to try to think outside the box. Generally, some of these special programs are logistically complex operations, yet they also offer our travelers something special, something a little different. And these are the kinds of products that we're very proud of, and because we do have a long history of developing such programs. And today, I'm going to profile 4 trips that we've got coming up. The first one of which is in October, November of 2025, and then all the way up through early December 2026. And without any further delay, I'm going to jump into the program here. And again, I want to thank you all for being with us today. When I go through these programs, we can take questions, and hopefully I can answer them to your liking and see where we go. So the very first trip that we are going to discuss is our trip to Sicily and Malta aboard the Sea Cloud. Ben has been operating trips aboard this beautiful vessel for really the first one was 30 years ago or so, and we have operated trips in the Mediterranean, we've operated trips in the Caribbean, and this particular trip, of course, will be in the Eastern Mediterranean to Sicily and Malta. There's a number of things to say about this. Any trip that we do aboard the Sea Cloud, of course, birding and natural history will be a central theme because that's what we do here at Victor Emmanuel Nature Tours, of course. But also these programs have a strong cultural component to them too. And it really makes an ideal option for people who like a broader based type of travel experience, or perhaps people who like to travel with a non-birding spouse or partner, or in the case of the Sea Cloud voyage, people who have an interest or even a fascination with ships, particularly sailing ships like the Sea Cloud. This is a trip that will operate October 23 through November 2nd. You're looking on this slide here, you're seeing the Vent staff for this program. I will be joined by Rafael Galvez, sort of a Renaissance man among our tour leaders, Peter Zika, who was just a wonderful botanist, and Larry Wolf and Perry Kloss. Larry is a historian at New York University, and his specialty is Mediterranean history. Perry is both a journalist and a pediatrician. His wife, together, We present a trip that is, again, it has a balance of birding along with history and culture to it. We last offered this program in 2017, and I will come back to the future of the sea cloud upon my conclusion here in describing this program. But what I want to do here is show you the route map for this particular trip. We will start in Malta, which is located due south of Sicily. The capital is Valletta. We will spend a day in Valletta. The trip will start and end in Malta. And we will go northwest to the south coast of Sicily. And one of the things about this program that we are especially proud of is that this is going to be a complete circumnavigation of Sicily. We're very pleased about this. This will be the third time we've offered a Sicily program by ship, but it's the first time in 17 years that we've been able to do this as a circumnavigation rather than in parts of the island. Excuse me. And some of the places that we are going to go are really some of the famous locations in Sicily. Places like Agrigento and Syracuse that date from antiquity and still contain some of the most interesting and well-preserved ruins from the ancient Greek world. But more than that, we will visit medieval villages. We will spend a day in the capital, Palermo, which I happen to feel is one of the more interesting cities in Europe. And we will sail around the northeast corner of Sicily through the famed Straits of Messina, a very narrow waterway that divides Sicily from the Italian mainland. Along the way, we will offer birding excursions that will either complement or be in lieu of options for history and culture. So I'm going to go show you a few slides here. Again, the trip starts and ends in Valletta. This is the city, the walled city, fronting right onto the water. This is a site that we see on the first evening on our way out to sea. During the day, we will have enjoyed a city tour, which is actually quite a highlight because you do get to see things like St. John's Co-Cathedral and so on, which is a spectacular creation, frankly. On the right is the Cappella Palatina, which is this extravagantly ornamented chapel that's in Palermo itself. This is a representation of some of the things that we will be seeing. On Sicily, again, I had referred to some of the sites from the Greco-Roman era, more than 2,000 years ago. Agrigento above, Segesta to the top right. These are places that, or I should say, these are sites that are quite unique and different from those that any of you might have seen in Greece, because whereas in Greece, they construct these temples and so on out of white marble, whereas here in Sicily, these beautiful brown sandstone architecture. On the right is Ortigia, which is adjacent to Syracuse. A walking tour of the famed city. Lots of fun. And of course, I had referenced birding. This is a representation of some of the birds that will be possible on this trip. Shorebirds, seabirds, wading birds, birds of prey. Not many people, when people think about birding in Europe, they don't always think about Sicily, but there are in fact some very excellent places to go. Places that do hold numbers of wintering shorebirds and waders like these flamingos. While at sea, we have chances for the very special Scopoli shearwater, Yelkowon shearwater, and other birds. Given that this trip will be operating in the fall migration period, really there is a wide range of birds possible, both on land and even while at sea, birds crossing the Mediterranean. At Agrigento, the booted eagle here is actually a resident bird that we have chances to see as well. The ship itself is often a point of fascination for our travelers, and in some cases, it is the principal reason why people why people do join us on our Sea Cloud departures.
On more than one occasion in my career guiding these trips, I have had people say things to me like, Barry, I'm sure that this is going to be a great program, but honestly, for me, it's all about the ship. And I will speak about the ship for just a moment. This ship was the product of the famed marriage between the financier E.F. Hutton and businesswoman Marjorie Merriweather Post, who in the early 1930s were building a ship that would ultimately become the Sea Cloud, that would ultimately become the possession of Marjorie Merriweather Post. And even now, 90 years after its launch, the Sea Cloud is still a one-of-a-kind vessel. It's approximately 300 feet in length, four-masted, square-rigged sailor. It is a working vessel, meaning that the crew on board the ship actively has to manage the sails and the lines and everything in order to make the ship run. It's definitely a fascinating and a beautiful experience to be on this thing. These are just a selection of shots from different points of view on the Sea Cloud. In the top left, you can see the deck on what appears to be the port side of the ship, the lounge on the lower left, the bridge on the lower right, and on the very back of the ship, what we call the spanker deck. And so when we are at sea, when we're aboard the ship, you have a chance to settle in and really explore this vessel. This is the Lido deck up above, our outdoor deck, where we have lectures, where we have some of our meals, whereas on the bottom right is the ship's dining room. And give you an impression of what that is like. It's all first-rate service. It's actually a lot of fun, and here are some of the cabins. You know, one of the reasons why I always like to show this slide, or one like it, is because a trip aboard the Sea Cloud presents lots of benefits, but one of which is that once you are on board the ship, it is essentially your hotel for the duration of the trip. Meaning that, you know, nobody likes having to continually pack and unpack and change accommodations on a nightly basis. Once you get on the ship, you're there to stay. And I know that from the feedback that I have received from a number of our travelers through the years, this is a major attraction. Just to get on board, make yourself at home, and there you are for the next week. This trip will be an 8-night voyage. The full length, these dates, October 23rd through November 2nd, reflect the travel time to Sicily and back. But we will be on the ship for 8 nights. Again, you can see the staff here. And we still, at this time, we have still got 5 cabins available. Cabin prices begin at $11,995. I know that depending on one's interest, we would need to see what category is still available that you might be interested in. But at any rate, this is going to be our Sicily and Malta trip aboard the Sea Cloud this fall. One final point that I wish to make. If you have ever considered a trip aboard the Sea Cloud, this really should be the time. We have received word from Sea Cloud Cruises that the ship will be going into an extended dry dock for some renovation work that may include a downsizing of the accommodations capacity on the ship. What this means is that after this trip, it is entirely possible, maybe even likely, that Vent will not be able to use this ship anymore in the future. And I don't like to lead or try to promote with the idea that, you know, now or never, but in this case, it is appropriate to do so because we simply may not have access to this ship again after this year. So there are still 5 cabins available, and I will be on this trip, and I would love to have a chance to share it with you. Thank you. I did omit the fact that we do have 2 different pre-trips available on this for this program also. You know, as I was saying, that we start and end in Malta, in the capital of Valletta, But there are other things to see and do on Malta, and so for that reason we offer a couple of pre-trip options, just a couple days, short pre-trip options to bring broader exposure to the island of Malta, which of course does serve to enhance the overall travel experience. The first one that we call Birding, Sightseeing, History and Culture is it's an opportunity to see all the highlights of Malta, or many of the highlights of Malta, but the program is infused with a good solid day of birding on the island also. We did this on the 2017 trip and found it to be quite enjoyable. It's highly recommended. For those who might consider joining this trip but are really primarily interested in sightseeing and history and culture minus the birding, we also offer a shorter pre-trip option by a day, but that still sees all the highlight experiences, the highlight destinations that the other pre-trip option has also. This is the Sea Cloud Under Sail. Sometimes it's kind of what I call the money shot, meaning that an image like this really captures what a trip aboard the Sea Cloud is all about. It's a beautiful experience. It's a unique, one-of-a-kind experience, and a beautiful experience. The next program in our lineup here is Vent's 50th anniversary celebration. And this is an event that will occur in April 2026. You can see the dates there, April 19 through 24. And this event will mark the fourth time that we have had a major gathering to celebrate a milestone event in the company's history. Victor Emmanuel Nature Tours was founded, of course, by Victor Emmanuel in Houston in 1976. 2026 marks our 50th year in business. And what we do for these big celebration events is they are festive occasions in which we provide the opportunity for most of our company's staff to come together, tour leaders, many of our office staff, and share time with our travelers. And what these events usually entail are you've got 2 days of travel, your day at the front and the day at the back, that bookend 4 days of activities. And those 4 days of activities, typically consist of birding, going to different destinations each day, and then with evening social hours and keynote presentations by prominent people from the world of birding. The very first time that we did this was in 2006 when we celebrated our 30th anniversary. We did it again in 2016 for our 40th anniversary, which also was right here in Beaumont, Texas, which if you don't know where Beaumont is on the map, it's about 2 hours east of Houston. And following the 40th, we had a very interesting thing happen in which some of our travelers expressed regret that they couldn't be with us for the 40th, but didn't want to wait 10 years till the 50th. So in 2021, we did host a 45th anniversary celebration. And now we're back at it again with a great big one for our 50th. This event will accommodate 112 people. Now you might be sitting there watching this presentation thinking that sounds like an enormous amount of people. Please keep in mind that we have got 18 Vent tour leaders that will be present for this event. And I'm going to be saying a little bit more about that here. And here they are. Many of the people, if you have traveled with Vent previously, you would know. You might know some of the people that I have pictured here. I'm not going to name all of them in the interest of time. But, this is our company, everybody. These are the people that help organize and certainly lead our tours. All of these people are expected to be there next year. And the way that we operate our field trips is we break the group up into smaller groups, like as with a traditional Vent tour, You go out with two people, 2 guides in 2 vans, and every day you, as participants, will experience a different birding destination, but in the company of different leaders. So that way you get more exposure to more of our tour leaders, and it's just a lot of fun. It really is. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot to celebrate, and to be able to have these shared experiences with birding and nature in one of the premier birding regions of the country, the Upper Texas coast. The area between Houston and the Louisiana border is one of the premier places to be to experience spring migration in North America. Places like the Bolivar Mudflats, High Island, Anahuac National Wildlife Refuge, or what used to be known as Anahuac National Wildlife Refuge. All these places are magnets for migrating birds. Shorebirds, water birds, birds of prey. It's just birds, birds, birds. There's some else. I'm going to move on here and also talk a little bit about a little bit more of the program, starting with the fact that this is a map here that demonstrates basically where we're going to be. You may not be able to read the print here, but the big body of water down here is Galveston Bay that comes in right off the Gulf of Mexico. The finger of land that sticks down just on the southeast side of it is the Bolivar Peninsula. And then from that region up the coast and then up to Beaumont. Beaumont is just about an hour from the coast. We will be based at the MCM Elegante Hotel in Beaumont, Texas, from which we will operate our daily field trips. We will be going to the coast. We will have a trip that goes into the piney woods in the interior, and then we will be going into the freshwater marshes and brackish marshes of Anahuac National Wildlife Refuge. I had mentioned a couple of minutes ago that we are going to have keynote presentations each night. And on that note, I am extremely proud of the lineup of people that we have secured, who we have commitments from to join us, and people who you will get to meet and hear present. Some of these names are people that you may be familiar with, perhaps not, but I can assure you that these are people that are some of the most respected and accomplished people in birding and journalism in recent years. Scott Wiedensall, whose book Living on the Wind is what really established him as a frontline journalist, biologist, and birder. More recently, his book A World on the Wing. And in between, Scott has produced a number of other fascinating books like The Ghost with Trembling Wings and so on. We are especially pleased to welcome Scott. He will be speaking on the first night of the program. We have Jennifer Ackerman, whose books, The Genius of Birds and What an Owl Knows, have really established her as a prominent author, again, in the world of birding and popular science. We're so pleased that Jennifer has agreed to join us, and we're confident that you will enjoy her. Ed Young, whose books I Contain Multitudes and An Immense World have basically turned Ed into something of a celebrity. He has won the Pulitzer Prize. A number of people are more familiar with Ed because of the writing he did about COVID during the pandemic era. But since then, his book An Immense World, highly regarded, well received, and we're just so thrilled that Ed has also agreed to join us. Ken Kaufman. In some ways, need I say more? Ken, a long-time, well-established fixture in North American birding, certainly in a variety of capacities, as a tour leader, as an author, as a public speaker, and also as a face, along with his wife, Kimberly Kaufman, with the Black Swamp Bird Observatory in Ohio. Ken and Vent have a long history together. Ken and Victor Emanuel were friends since the early 1970s. Ken's book, Kingbird Highway, is considered a modern classic, and his most recent book, The Birds That Audubon Missed, is also a pleasurable read as well. And so we're thrilled to welcome Ken as a keynote presenter too. Each one of these people is a standout. Together, they provide what we feel is a powerhouse lineup of presenters and knowledge. I'm going to move on to the third program in the series, a very special program that we're calling Totally Spain's Solar Eclipse. As I said at the outset, Vent prides itself on being able to offer special, unique programs that nobody else has thought to do or perhaps is interested in doing. But what we have been keenly aware of in recent years is the attraction of the total solar eclipse. These things have basically taken on a life of their own. They generate interest on a global level, with people traveling from distances near and very far to enjoy the remarkable celestial event that is a total solar eclipse. Vent's history with solar eclipse tours goes back to 2017. One of our longtime tour leaders, Brian Gibbons, had the idea of organizing a tour that Vent would operate to see the total solar eclipse that passed over Oregon and the Mountain West. That first trip was a trip to Grand Teton National Park, a trip that we filled. It was a modest endeavor, and at the time, it was just sort of speculative. We didn't know how our travelers would receive a solar eclipse-based trip. We filled it, and it turned out to be so enjoyable, because obviously a trip like this is going to include more than a solar eclipse. It is also a birding trip, and so people really loved it. Flash forward to 2024, the next major solar eclipse event occurred right over central Texas and also in the Midwest. However, we operated a trip in which we took 42 people to the hill country, the Texas hill country, where we were able to view the eclipse. We had such a good time on that trip, and it was so successful that we knew we were onto something, and now we're doing it again. The next total solar eclipse will take place in northern Spain on August the 12th, 2026. For this program, we have assembled a number of event leaders. There I am, along with my colleagues Rick Wright and Brian Gibbons. Our local guide, Virgilio Beltran Jorda, who is also our operator and has done a yeoman's work in helping us put together what will be a diverse and very complex program, and we're extremely proud of it. Along with these fine people, we have Rob Brown, who will be our resident astronomer. This is important. It isn't just about going to see a solar eclipse, but having to do it in the company of someone who's able to provide interpretation and an expertise about the subject. That is what really helps seal the deal with this program. Birding, of course, will be a big part of the program. But interestingly, for those who are also with an interest in history and culture, we will have options in some cases, and in others, part of the program, there will be offerings to see some of the more prominent landmarks in some of the places we will visit. This trip will start in Madrid. We will move north from Madrid to the city of León. And León was chosen specifically because at that time of the year, the history suggests that we will have good atmospheric conditions for viewing the eclipse, which is critical. Obviously, we have no control over Mother Nature. Nobody does. But there are things that people can do to improve their chances of seeing the eclipse as intended. And being in León, we feel, gives us a chance to see the eclipse. The total, the time of totality will be about 2 minutes, a little bit more than 2 minutes. And to view it, we have reserved a winery exclusively for Vent customers on this trip that will include dinner, an opportunity to sample Spanish wine, and also to have the confines of in a rural setting exclusively to ourselves to view the solar eclipse. From there, we will head northwest to the city of Oviedo, which is in the Asturias region of Spain, where we will have opportunities to bird several different habitats and also take in a few of the city's cultural highlights. So, totally Spain solar eclipse. This particular trip will take 42 participants. And again, we have experience in managing larger groups, vast experience. We've got the staff for it. We've got the services and the infrastructure in place. And we are certain that this will be not just an enjoyable experience, but a very unique experience. Totally Spain solar eclipse will operate August 8th through 17th, 2026. Again, the eclipse itself will take place on August 12th, and many of our other activities, our birding activities, our cultural, historical excursions, and so on, will take place both before and after. The center photograph there is the winery where we will actually be staying, the Bodegas Vitalis winery, where we will experience the eclipse. Totally Spain solar eclipse. The cost is $98.95 per person in double occupancy from Madrid. There's our staff and a representation of some of the birds that we will be seeing. In particular, the great bustard at the top, the Iberian green woodpecker, and the European bee eater are just some of the many birds that we hope to see. Now, the last program that I'm presenting on today is a brand new and also very special opportunity that we're proud to present December 4th through 2026. It is a Ganges River cruise, and Himalayas trip. This is a trip that is the latest in a line of big, extravagant programs that we're offering that we can offer in India. We have a very unique arrangement, a unique relationship with Raj Singh, a man who owns his own travel company in India and is used to thinking big. Over the years, Vent has operated some very unique trips in India aboard trains. The Maharaja's Express is an example of one of these. The Palace on Wheels is another. And on those programs, they were trips that combined birding and natural history with some real cultural highlights. Those trips all operated on the western side of India, the so-called princely cities of Rajasthan in the west. This is a return to the tradition of unique departures that offer high level accommodations and meals and methods of travel. Whereas we have used a train on some of our other programs, our Ganges River cruise will have 7 nights aboard a beautiful riverboat that Vent should have to itself. It's called the Ganges Voyager, and we will be on it for 7 nights going up and down the Ganges River, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Halfway through the trip, when we disembark the riverboat, we will then go to the Darjeeling region of the Himalayan foothills, where we will spend the remainder of the trip doing birding and natural history in a totally different set of habitats. And together, what we're offering is major exposure to the birds and habitats and cultural highlights of eastern India. There I am again. I will also be on this trip with my colleagues Brian Gibbons, Max Breckenridge, and Scott Baker. There are chances to see tigers, particularly if this trip will have both pre and post trip extensions, but there are chances for tigers, perhaps the ultimate animal that one would see on a trip to India, but also a big variety of birds. Leading with some of the cultural highlights, these are just some of the places, some of the things for those that are more oriented toward history and culture and who want a travel experience that goes beyond birds and natural history. This is a representation of some of the things that we will do, places we will go, things we will see. Now, as I said before, we will be in the Darjeeling region of the Himalayan foothills on the second half of the trip, and we will use a couple of hotels in the Mayfair line, beautiful hotels whose quality of accommodations matches what we will experience on the riverboat itself. More examples of these Mayfair hotels, and I'm showing these photos so that it imparts a feel for what you would be experiencing should you choose to join us. Now, what I want to show you here is a couple of maps of the area where we're going to be. The right map it depicts the cruise route. I don't know if you're able to read it or the print is large enough for you. This trip will start and end in Calcutta, or what used to be known as Calcutta but is now Kolkata. And we will start with a tour of the city with some birding excursions, with optional birding excursions available. We will board the Ganges Voyager. Now, what I want to point out about this is that if you were to go online and you were to look at Ganges River cruises, what you would see is that just about anybody who offers such a program will take you upstream from Kolkata, meaning going north. And it is fairly standard stuff. There are cities and towns, there's cultural highlights and so on. What our trip does, it does go upstream, but it also goes down. And if you see a mark at the bottom of the bottom of the map there, that is in a mangrove tropical hardwood wilderness known as the Sundarbans. And we will take the riverboat all the way down there, where we will be immersed in natural history, where we will have chances to see a big variety of birds, as well as some of the there are opportunities for mammals down there too. Things like the Gangetic river dolphin, for instance, spotted otter, all these amazing things that you really don't have a chance to see easily elsewhere. So this, again, the point of this is that this is a blended program. We like to think that it offers something for everyone. If birding and natural history is what you are really after, that's your primary of interest, we should be able to offer that in spades. If, however, history, culture, sightseeing, famous landmarks and so on is of primary interest, there will be plenty of that too. And the same can be said when we go north to the Darjeeling region. For the time that we have there, birding excursions in a totally different environment will yield species that are new for the trip and really overall complement what you will see along the Ganges River drainage and in the Bay of Bengal area where the Sundarbans are, for what should be a large and diverse bird list, that's for sure. And again, there will be opportunities for mammals and so on too. And so that is why we say, as I said at the very beginning of this presentation, that we like to think that these programs are of broad appeal because they do offer birding and natural history, but also for those who want a broader tour experience or are traveling with a person whose primary interest is not in birding. These trips, these programs all offer a nice option. The Ganges River Cruise in Himalayas. A recap of the program with the tour leaders. We have the price. Cabins begin at $17,995 per person in double occupancy from Kolkata. We are limiting this tour to 35, and we fully expect to have the ship to ourselves, the riverboat to ourselves, for what is a first time we've ever offered this program. We're just so excited about it. We hope you will consider joining us in India in December of 2026. And one reason, if you may be looking at those dates and wondering why we're operating this trip between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we're doing it because December is a very excellent time to be in these regions weather-wise. The Kolkata river drainage, the Ganges River drainage around Kolkata is hot and humid for big parts of the year, but by December, we expect mild and pleasant conditions. Whereas in the Himalayan foothills, this is still the autumn, and we have a chance to experience all of this before the onset of winter weather. For those who would like to extend their time in India, we have pre and post-trip extension offerings. The first is the Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve pre-trip, which we feel is an excellent option for those who really want to make a point of seeing a tiger on their trip to India. It really doesn't get any more grandiose than seeing a tiger. It's the premier animal of India, and this trip, those who choose to participate are likely to be rewarded. It certainly improves one's chances. And of course, in addition to tiger and mammals, there'll be a big variety of birds that we'll be seeking as well. The extension, Kaziranga National Park. In some ways, this is arguably one of the absolute premier places for birds and wildlife in all of India. Located in the far northeast corner of the country, Kaziranga is famous for its megafauna. The Indian one-horned rhinoceros is prominent here. There's gaur, the wild buffalo, and also it is also frequently a good place to see tiger. And then a variety of special birds, spectacular things like the great hornbill, the greater adjutant, which is a large stork, and many other birds. The accommodations on both the pre-trip and the extension are in line with everything that we're going to experience on the main tour. So we're quite excited about that. At this point, we can open it up to any questions. One thing that I did want to mention is that with our 50th anniversary celebration, which as of right now is almost exactly 1 year out, we are a little more than half full at this point. We have approximately 60 people registered. And so we do expect the interest has been building, and we fully expect to sell the trip out. I was going to mention on that part of the presentation, but it had slipped my mind. But at this point, we will take any questions that anybody has. I also do want to add a final word about the India program and all these programs. For both the Sea Cloud and the India programs, we have got, for the Sea Cloud program and the Total Solar Eclipse, we have got our itineraries available on the Vent website. For the 50th anniversary celebration, the full itinerary with pricing will be available in around the middle of May. And for our the India program, pricing is now available on our website, and we expect the full itinerary to be posted to the site and available for review within the first couple of days of next week. All of these trips are managed by our longtime tour operations manager, Patrick Swaggerty. And Patrick is readily available here at the Vent office. And with that, I just want to again thank you for choosing to spend time with us this afternoon. learning about some of these special trips. Obviously, we would love it to have you to see you on one of them. But even if you choose not to participate, just having the opportunity to inform you about some of these special programs going on at Vent has been very nice for me. So thank you again.
All right. Well, thank you, Barry, for that wonderful presentation of those epic tours. And like Barry said, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to Patrick at ventbird.com or myself, Ben at ventbird.com. We thank you for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you in the field.